Stand-up historian. Those who tell stories rule society.
Hello and welcome back to Stand-up Historian. I have a returning guest tonight. I had fascinating conversations with him about origami model that, as he explains it, he rediscovered it. It's an idea that existed forever. He rediscovered it, and we talked about it in 4 or 5 episodes, and he put it elegantly, and I really enjoyed the conversations. During those conversations and behind the scenes, we talked about many other things, and I found this man, Qaf, to be fascinating to talk to. So I asked him to please come back and let's talk about a subject outside of science, outside of physics and universe. Let's come down to the earth. And he graciously accepted, and here he is, the one and only Qaf. How are you, Qaf?
Thank you, Chris. Good, very good. Thank you. Very kind
so
to me.
Good to have you back. Of course. Well, maybe those that listen to our conversations about physics, they will thinking about, oh, a physicist also can talk about non-numbers and non-rigid formulas. So enlighten us. Tell us, how did you arrive at this point that you basically started developing ideas outside of the realms of science?
Thank you. First of all, the truth is that we are all physicists from age 15. It seems to be a great abuse. If we get a chance in future, we have to talk about abuse in our time. Abuse of children by us, abuse of pets, animals, and the entire planet. Most deep, profoundly abused species are human beings, abused by themselves, abused by, we hear that constantly, they or government or Erev Rav in Hebrew, or Masons or Illuminatis, and the people we look for this, who are these they that are suppressing us and abusing us. It's our brain. We will get into that. Okay. Don't look for it, it's inside us. So we started by this model of origami. We start by science, and now, as you mentioned, we're going towards some other things. There's no other things. We are here to find this, and we will find it by experimenting around us. If you look at the biggest brains, the biggest, brightest brains in the history are the ones that we call prophets. And because they destroyed their image by creating church and mosque and those places, temples and things, destroyed it and turned it into business. And as you see, like Jesus, for example, so angry when he came out and kicked all these, rabbis, and this is why he was a rabbi himself. But he said, why are you doing here? Why are you doing business? And these people were absolutely geniuses. Today's language, we would say they are connected to aliens, to extraterrestrial. This concept of extraterrestrial and alien. Another, deceit, because it's us. Everything is us. If we need 20 sessions to eventually get to the deeper layer of this onion, if we replace prophets and gods and holy books or whatever they call it, if we replace it by alien contact and say, okay, these were just alien things coming from Orion or other galaxies or other planets and stars, and they were more advanced and they did things, they didn't solve anything. So who created them? Of course, we are all family. We are a big body. We will get into that. We mentioned briefly last time, we get 10 to the power of 66 times bigger. So we gave a hint that, hey, don't think your body is just this. You got a huge body there. That's your head up there. You see as Gallic Andromeda. These are all limbs of you. Why, so don't think you're replacing a variable by another variable. there is something has come, so this Jesus was maybe contacted by alien. That doesn't solve the problem. Anyway, it's all us, and we all here only for one thing, not to work, make money or anything. We're here to experience, to find what it is, where we are, what we're doing here, where we come from, and find a way out of this jail. Is as beautiful as it is, the planet is Earth, or wherever you are born, is actually a test place, a camp, a training camp. You come here to find out, to learn and to grow, and one day you say, oh, so this is a temporary thing, I have to get out here. Why we came up with the model of origami, to say, hey, that's the first step, let's see what we are. Instead of confusing us with 12 dimensions that we cannot comprehend, the reality is, well, yes, a bit similar to a video game. We are made out of time and gravity. Time is quantized and interrupted. It's a temporary thing in a simple language. The gravity, which is the core, is the wisdom, is what they call in ancient times science, a soul or spirit or mind and consciousness. So that one constantly we realize physically and mathematically in the book. You will realize this when you finish the book. What you should get out of that is this. You said that you get a good picture that there is something in all of us. Our gravity connects us. It's got all the information about us from beginning of time till now. That's why we all have this origami model inside us. Every one of us, many people have discovered it, put it in different vocabulary, or didn't say anything. A lot of people didn't say anything. They just went to a corner, because the world today, you know, if anyone come and say anything, is you get sabotaged, or they think you're making money out of it, or fame or anything. We are very badly corrupted these days. So the aim is to dissect our environment to see, so now, okay, this is the physicality of our world, so what are we doing now? What's the purpose? Why are we here? What should we do? Are we going anywhere? And so in this line, one good question is, what is creation, right? Why we are here, right? What that manufacturer, that guy that made this universe out of time and gravity, what is this creation? Why did he create? You know, one of the first questions is this. Like, imagine, yes, some entity super smart, intelligent, capable, and very big up there, decided to create us. The answer would be in basically, you see, in ancient times, again, they answered that. They said the reason for creation is love, right? So what is love? Like, in a simple word, imagine you are that super smart entity there. You are existence. There is no lack of existence. If we inside this entity, if we think this super computer that created us, super smart entity that created us, we will reach physically that we must be inside him, right? We wouldn't be separated from him. We said in origami we are connected through that line of gravity. So we are connected to him. We can say inside him, doesn't matter. We said that in that realm there won't be time and locality. So when there's no locality, you can say we are inside him or connected to him. Doesn't matter, they're the same thing. So we are connected to him. So by creating more things, he's actually expanding himself. So he's actually expanding his consciousness. So it's a mass of, we will find that in origami mathematically, we will find that it's got 7 layers of, each one is a mother black hole that we explained, right? And so we are inside this huge egg of gravity, which is consciousness, right? So we are, yes, it's been mentioned, yes, it's always mentioned in ancient history, but in origami you can measure the radius of it and the amount of time that it has in it. How much time is there? How much Legos we got to play with? You find all of that. It's more tangible model that gives you exactly what this is. You know, it's not just a hypothesis. You see, this is the reality of the universe. We are inside this thing, and that thing is expanding itself. Its expansion is the expansion of gravity, which if it's got time, layer of time on it, we will materialize where we will see it. If it doesn't have the time on it, it would be naked black hole in a space that we talked about it before. They both exist. why is expanding itself? Because it exists. That's why. And what's outside this egg of consciousness, you can't say there is outside. That's the concept of locality, because immediately we said, what's outside of it? Outside of it is nothing, is it? No. Remember we said nothing is the gravity. So
Yes.
outside of it, there is, you cannot imagine, it's an irrelevant question, because we don't have inside, outside, left, right. All of that defined by time, we mentioned before. Remember, that's all three spaces of space, locality. So when you are in there, that's all it is. That's it. There's no outside of it. So that whole thing is existence, is gravity and consciousness. So expands because it exists. When there's something exists, we will see that it has to constantly move. That's why, remember we said perfect. There is a chapter in the book that is called Perfect Sphere Solution. In Perfect Sphere Solution, with very simple mathematics, really anyone can read and understand it. Very simple mathematics, you realize a perfect sphere cannot exist. If Earth is a perfect sphere, it will explode immediately. And while it explodes, it will have all its mass will exit from certain spots on the Earth. It's so funny. You find that when you calculate, it's so interesting. You find if all the mass, if Earth is a solid mass, right, and suddenly becomes perfect sphere, then what happens to it? Mathematically, you find that all the mass starts moving towards specific points near the two poles, and will turn speed up to speed of light, turn to photons, turn to energy, and get out. In other words, the mass explodes very rapidly. It's like supernova. Explodes just because it's round. Doesn't matter how big, how small. Once something becomes perfectly round, mathematically will explode, and not from everywhere. From certain point near the poles, all the mass from those spots will go at these spots. Then you find them to be 6.67 degrees. So we will create a line that goes through pyramid of Giza, through the Persepolis of Iran, Jordan. It's so interesting. A few of the spots through America, California. You measure that. It's in a separate chapter of the book. It will be sent to you. Don't worry. You can send it to the people if they want. Perfect Sphere Solution gives you very interesting results regarding our planet. So that's why we got those specific spots on the planet. Mathematically, you find out why we got those. So the point is, things cannot be a perfect sphere, really. We draw a perfect circle, but it doesn't really exist. That's why the pi number is always continuous. And we mentioned that origamon, the photon, the smallest unit that creates the matter, it's not a perfect round thing, it's a spiral. And why is it a spiral? Because it starts from a point and finish in another point. Doesn't finish in the same point because time progresses. So if we agree so far, that's why it's
the spiral movement.
Yes. It has to be a spiral. We explain why in Fibonacci pattern, we explain that, and we explain, so we understand why. That's why the existence continues, exactly for the same reason. It has to continue. So that's why we say progress of time. In the origami book, you find two things. You find that time behaves in two different directions, and one is what we perceive as process of time, and the other one is what we perceive as locality. So the process of time is that how we perceive as existence continuing. So in a simple word, the reason why this, if you like, the massive consciousness that we call universe, we call God or whatever, this creator, this thing that we are part of it, why is it keeps creating? Because it exists. Very simple. It's dynamic. If it stops, it's like the time that it stops. It goes to annihilation.
So I have a question here. When you were talking about origami model, you specifically said the universe is growing, it's not expanding.
Yes. Yes.
Is this the same thing you're talking about here? Because he's growing?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
There's a distinction between growth and expansion. That's why.
Yeah, exactly. Very good question. So the current model of science says universe is expanding. We hear that all the time. Expansion means there's no new mass or matter or energy added to the universe. It only, whatever is there is just stretching, right?
Yes.
Getting more diluted, the density. I've got multiple problems showing that that's not the case. This model shows you that exactly. It's funny that the beginning actually comes out to be like one mass of one tiny origamon and anti-origamon is there, exactly like sperm and egg. They bind, they become one, and they become two become four, and so it's very, very slow. We don't have Big Bang. You will go through the book, you realize.
Sure.
And exactly what, yes, we experience that as a Big Bang. What is Big Bang? Is an infinitely fast event. Again, faster than the speed of light, which is another conflict with it. And this book explains to you why we perceive that as so fast. Because remember, we said time started at the beginning, very, very slow, almost zero, and it gets speeding up.
Mm-hmm.
When time is very slow, events are perceived very, very fast. Remember Charlie Chaplin movie?
The other movies.
Exactly like that. So, and we mentioned things don't really accelerate near a mass. Time slows down near the mass. That's the entire twist was there. And why this model is better, because this then explains everything. This comes to just one dimension of time. In Einstein relativity, he says things accelerate when they come near the mass. Why? Because there is gravity, there is fabric of space-time that is curving. You can't explain any of those again. You go to the same trap. But if you got a time that when time slows down, it creates a mass. So it means anytime you go near a mass, you are in a slow version of the time. So things by observer are observed as accelerated.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
So there's no accident. In fact, then you immediately find out here, hey, so what we perceive is based on our time, then our time perception. Is there a real time up there? The creator has a time, the manufacturer has a time, because near a mass, we see things happening faster. Back in time, anything that go back, super fast, we just mentioned, because if we go back, time is slower. If you go to Big Bang, time is super slow. That's why things are even faster than the speed of light. That's why actually when you think about your past, everything is so quick. If you look, if you think about your childhood till now, all of it is 3 seconds. And it's true, because time slows down in the past. And people, we all connected to the source of universe. That's why everyone feels that time is speeding up. Everyone says that time is going very fast. And specifically that, this is another argument. This is a very, very important part of history on this planet. We're going through a super fast time pass right now. And people say, but it keeps looking at science says, no, this is just imagining. But we cannot imagine things. We just can't. It's Fibonacci.
And it's everybody. It's everybody. You talk to people and everybody says, this term has become very common. Time is flying. Time flies. Constantly you hear that. Yes.
So you were saying that, and you find the numbers for the rate of. So that we found already. We talk about this. What's the acceleration of time? So we said time started as speed of near zero, and it's going faster. It's almost the speed of light at the moment. Let's say that it's 10 times faster than the speed of light. We don't want to get very technical. So time is going, right now at this certain speed. What's its acceleration of time? What's the acceleration of it? We calculate that was g. That was 6.67 times to the power of minus 11. That's the acceleration of the light. But the acceleration of time is 10 to the power of minus. So that's where g come from. Remember, that's where the gravitational constant is. That's how we found that constant. We calculated it this time instead of just measuring by experiment. Say, if we time our results by this number, we get the right answer. We found out what it is, what it means. And then this is acceleration of time. So if you are the creator sitting up there out of all these, you are not time bound, you are out of the Garden of Eden, then you are not time bound. You know that time is accelerating for people, for us, for observers. But what about the time for him? So he has a time that is smooth. Remember, we watching a movie that is filmed slowly, like Charlie Chaplin movie, and we see the Charlie Chaplin going very fast.
Yes.
But we know that Charlie Chaplin is not going fast. It's going normal walking. It's exactly the Big Bang. Big Bang went exactly the same speed as we're talking today. But when we go back, because time was very slow, one frame of time was shot now, another one a million years later. That's why we see, whoa, in 2 seconds, stars were formed. That's what you see happening in Big Bang.
Yes, yes.
This explains to you why. So everything has a certain speed, a natural speed, but we perceive it time bound. We perceive it slow or fast. That's why we perceive acceleration near a mass and call it gravity. Now you start to understand everything. That's why he says constantly, close your eyes. The biggest problem in human being is the eye. We perceive everything incorrect. Yes.
So I have heard somewhere this example of how can you imagine the creator? He's the man sitting on the bank of a river and watching the river going by. The river is the time. The man that watching is the creator. So he's outside of this, and at the same time, he can see everything that's going by. And also, each one of us is a drop of water, or as you say, made of time, and we are flowing with this river of time that's going by. I just wanted to see, does that explain what you're saying, sort of?
Maybe there are a couple of problems. We've got entities here. We've got the man sitting there, creator, and the river separate from it. The river is not connected to it. It's completely different thing. Here we see that this river that is us and the material universe it's got a core that we call gravity, or the black holes of every tiny particle in it, and it all connects to each other with the tiny strings and they come to the body of the old man. And the old man sitting there has no time, has no cover, has no body. The body was the time, remember? So maybe a better picture would be this. It's a big black egg. It's not completely round. It will be oval shape. And we get into that. It's asymmetric. Round thing in a space is black, which we don't see anything in it, but all the understanding and everything is in it. All of us in it, all with our connections, everything that is consciousness, everything is understanding is in there. Everything we talk about is skin and body and matter, anything visible, matter, touchable, all of things that are time bound are not actually part of it. It's created by it. Where are they? They're the surface, they're the eggshell. Okay. The surface of this thing. So then where is the old man? We said it's the entire egg. That's him.
Got it.
Then and then as you go to the center of this, you get more density of the consciousness. So the very center of it would be the maximum consciousness, which we can call God. It's something like that. And we are all children. We can say we are all our children. We are all expansion. It expands like us making children. It expands and create things. And then you will see the expansion is very wrong. It's growing. Why? Because we said that the number of Legos of time, the number of units he's adding units to it. He's got 10 to the power of 66 seconds there in his hands. He's throwing it in the universe growing, like a chicken that grows. Chicken doesn't expand, does it? It grows. No, it grows. It's mass increase. So we realize the mass increase is not like, it's when you have a sperm and ovum and you get one egg, the egg is got microgram weight. When it becomes a baby, it's like 2 kilograms. So egg didn't expand to a baby. Egg grew to a baby. That's what exactly it does. It's like we are in the womb of the mother is the God. We are in the womb and expanding. When we come out of the mother's womb, we go to the second universe, another womb, and until we go. So this is the better bit. That's why it's growing, not expanding, because the mass is increasing, and then it reaches in each stage reaches a certain amount, so it's not infinite. And then now, so why created? Because there's no lack of creation. Creation is existence. This is the answer. Why creating things? Because creation is existence. That we realize that it's not a circle. It cannot be a circle, because if it's a circle, it means time is stopped. There is no progress. Because, and then when time is stopped, there will be repeating things. Then we will have frequency. We will have statistics that they have in science. We talk about this in first session.
Yes, we did.
Yeah. We should put aside the very, very blasphemous concepts of frequency, anything that has to do with repeat, because then there is no existence. That's why perfect sphere does not exist. So any sphere would be a bit imperfect. Nothing has thickness. So this goes a bit deeper. We have to.
Sure. Well, we want to stay out of the scientific side of it and get more into subject of love
let's stick
and creation.
And then we have to talk about this flat Earth thing that then we mentioned once briefly before in one of the sessions, that then everything becomes two-dimensional. Remember, we said it's a piece of paper that folds, so everything become actually one-dimensional.
Yeah.
But we can say it's two-dimensional, and we mentioned that Earth is flat. Sun is, but the problem is the sun is flat too, and we are flat too. So there's nothing have thickness, because thickness is the past. When you look at the sky above, what do you see? You see some stars very, very far from you, from 2 million years ago. 2 million light years away from you means 2 million. What you're seeing is about 2 billion years ago. Some of those stars thousands of years ago has destroyed, but you still see. So simply, very simply, logically, when you look at the sky, you see from very, very past to very close, near the present time. Correct? Even when you look at something 1 meter away from you, you see something about 0.2 seconds away in time.
Sure.
Correct?
Yeah.
Can you say for sure it exists? No, we're moving. Can you sure the star you see in the sky exists really? Even science cannot, because science works for light, the speed of light. So we know in science, if it destroyed 10 million years ago, we cannot even observe that by any means. So we don't really know what is up there. Very simple, because all our observations are limited by speed of time. And you calculate that the speed of time is, we are limited by speed of light, sorry. And it's funny, another big twist you find in origami, that the speed of time is 10 times, is pi square. Pi square is very close to 10. So about 10 times the speed of time is faster than the speed of light. That gives you a huge important key here, which means time goes before us. Which means, in a simple understanding language, time forms your game, and then you go and act in it.
You catch up with time.
That's what they were, because you go as fast as you go is the speed of light, you're still way before the time. And there are pictures in origami book that it's been drawn to give us very good understanding, to realize, oh, that it gives a good picture animation to understand what it means. And you have to put it in your mind, put a bit of thought to it, and you will understand what. That's what's called destiny. That's why they knew beginning of time. They knew there is something called destiny. So that's what it is, because then you realize the creator, the old man. This story is this. We have a creator, the old man. He sits there and thinks about a story. Got it? And then he writes the story down on a piece of paper. Right? Second stage. Third stage, he gets people to act on it. Right? Okay. So 3 stages we got here. He thinks about it. Who is he? We said is the consciousness, the thought, the archaic, whatever. Mind, the mind that is there thinks about. Why thinks about this? We said because if it stops, it doesn't exist anymore. It becomes perfect sphere. The beginning point and the ending point match each other, fit the same point, and will stop. Will cease existence. So because it cannot, it's simple, you cannot stop thinking unless the brain dies. So he thinks, the thinking, we call it what? We call the thinking what? We call it a story, right? So he thinks.
Yeah.
So that's first stage. Second stage, he writes it down. The third stage, he gets people to act on it. Yeah, very simple. The first stage, when he thinks, the story comes to his mind and he back and forth it and change it a bit and finally says, oh, that's a good story. That one, in our language, we call it truth. So we got the first concept is what we're looking for all the time. What? Truth. That's the truth. Second stage, he will write it down. That become existence. Yeah?
Okay. Yeah.
And when he get people to act on it, which is us, we are born, we do it, you know, that becomes reality.
Truth, existence, and reality.
Reality. This is the best words in English we can fit with. Reality is what we see, is what we perceive, is us. This is our current world. That's the reality one. What's the speed of that one? The speed of light. 3 times 10 to the power of 8 meters per second. Has a speed. It's a limitation that Einstein found. And very, very correct. Right now, and then we will see that because the speed of time changed, the speed of light changed, we said everything, there's no constant here. The only constant is the pi number. But anyway, besides that, that's what we perceive as reality. That's very, very slow. It's got a speed of light. Before that, what did he do? Existence. What was existence? The stage that he wrote it down for himself on a piece of paper.
Yeah.
That's the destiny. We said your destiny is written, right? That's the writing stage.
Yeah.
What's that one? That is the time. That's the speed of time.
So hold on 1 second here. So based on what you're saying, our lives are predestined.
Absolutely.
Is that true? We don't have free will?
Okay, we want to answer that now. Things get confusing.
Just briefly.
Exactly.
I don't want to distract you from the main subject.
Absolutely. The answer is this. Yes, 100%. The time band, material world, the world of reality is 100% destined. 100%. And as the speed of time increases, we see in the book, we will reach a point in billions of years from now, we're talking about that the speed of light catches up with the speed of time. That at that point, we will have liberty. It means we can change the universe. And you got the body. Body is the time band. The body, which is reality, is time band, and is because it's slower than the speed of time, is 100% destined. But the mind inside with the gravity, that one is not time band. That one is not destined. That one you can sit here and imagine there's a purple elephant rotating the moon. That one has no foundation. That has liberty. But does my body, my time band, my material life find any liberty in future? Yes, that's what we find. That's why speed of time is accelerating. So in speed of light, sorry. So in future, we will catch up with that. That means in future, we will have ability to change the story. You become the God. Remember we mentioned that?
Yes.
We become virtually God, yes. But right now, we are in the story, because we are time bound, very simple, you can understand. But you find the mathematics of it in this model. Why we cannot change, why we have psychics, why people were able to see our future, and they still do. Even in intelligence services, they use them because it has already happened. It happened in an existence form of it, not in reality. So if someone has got a powerful mind, which is the gravity, he can look up in 1,000 years and say, oh, the earth is exploding, because he's seeing the picture, the existence form of it.
That
not
makes
the
sense.
reality.
Yeah.
That's
that makes sense.
And you find the speed of it. So you can find out how far in future we can even see. So in this model, you get mathematical form, not just hypothesis, not just, yes, this is always exists in ancient things, but this model, it summarizes for you and tell you this is why. So let's go back. We got truth when he's thinking about the story. We got existence when he writes it down. And when you put it to action through us, through the part that is time bound, is the reality one. So the reality one is the slowest one, isn't it?
It is.
So the reality, what's the speed of that? The maximum speed of light, 3 times 10 power of 8. What's the speed of existence when he write it down? Speed of time, 3 times 10 to the power of 9. Is pi square close to 10? Just put the 10 there is easier. Numbers doesn't matter for consciousness, for him and for us. Should not matter. We have another session to talk about numbers and mathematics. It deceives us. It's like a statistics that is very, very wrong. It's here again, some people just to put it a number 10 times faster than, so it's very, very fast. So then go back one more step to get to the stage that he was imagining and not even writing it. And when he was, it's in Indian mythology, you got there Vishnu and thinking, and in Aboriginal Australian Aboriginals have the same. So it's everywhere because it's true. It's in all of us.
Oh yes,
we're connected. So the truth is stage that he was thinking about this story. The Aboriginal Australians have an amazing metaphor where they say the dream stage of existence. They call it dream stage. Yeah. It's exactly the same word actually. This is the time that consciousness, God was thinking about it. Why dream? Because there's no reality in it. So thinking is not a good thing even. Thinking is very different. He was dreaming. There was no body there, no time there. So that is stage, that the truth stage, which is dreaming, that one has got the speed of 3 times to the power of 10.
10 times faster than existence.
Speed of, exactly. So now
100 times faster than the speed of reality.
Okay, now I want you to draw a straight line on the paper.
Okay.
Right? Draw this horizontal straight draw, and the beginning of the left hand right, put a circle, say start, and then to the very right side put an arrow and then put towards here or future, right?
Okay.
Right. So you got a line that, let's say this is the word, this is the existence, the start point, and keep going towards the right, right?
Yeah.
From left to right. Just imagine. Then you tell me, where is the truth now?
Oh, truth is the arrow.
Started. Yes, 3 cars started. One was so fast. So truth is right to future.
Yeah.
You will find
the right end of this line, which you put the arrow. That's the truth, and then we chase in it. Okay.
Yes. Correct?
Yep.
In the middle, then you will have the existence, and back there is the reality. Yeah. Very slow car. That means what you're experiencing in the world around us is the past.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Now, let's go back this again one more time. We got truth becomes existence, becomes reality.
Yeah.
In our consciousness, we deal with the truth and existence and reality, all of it. But in our body, in our memory, we said what memory is, one conscious memory, and the body touching, feeling things, we only deal with the reality part, which is very slow.
Yeah.
Science today is very, very slow and behind everything because it deals with the speed of light, which is the reality. Speed of light is nothing here. You can see this slowest car is in the past.
Yeah.
That's why they knew in the beginning, they said, go with the different tools to find the answers. Don't go with experiment in the lab, because the fastest you go speed of light, you don't find anything. Anything you find is very, very fast and incorrect.
Yeah. So
they were very smart. So now the reality is in the past, and this is what we're living now. We're living in the, by the material world of us, by the time-bound part of us, which means the part that we see. When the writer think about the story, then he writes it down, it becomes a book, correct?
Yeah.
The existence is a book, is a writing.
Yes.
Truth is a dream. Existence is a writing, reality is a show.
Correct, yeah, exactly.
What happened in a show? You see, you watch the show.
Okay.
In in a book you read, and then in the truth, it's none of them. It's a secret. Let's put the truth another session. We have to see if we talk about that or not. But at the moment, reality is the light. Remember, we say speed of light. That is visible. Speed of light.
Yeah.
Existence is when the writer wrote it down. Is the words. Is the language. So it's the word. You know, is the language. So it's the stand. Correct.
It's Legos in Bible.
Which will become the sand. That's why sand is so important. What was the first one then? The truth. We got seeing things that he kept saying, close your eyes to see, because of what we said. When we look, everything is constantly working with the speed of light. It's very, very slow. You want to go one step forward to see that what's the car in front of us is the car, the book of existence, which is ahead of us, and ahead of that one is the truth. Correct?
Yes.
If you want to jump and see a bit into future, you have to close your eyes, use other feeling, which is the sound. You hear the acoustics would tell us the future. Every psychic would know that. He keeps saying in the Torah, in the Old Testament, in the Quran, in all the books, you know, the Shema Israel, listen to me. Earth is a listener. Earth is. Then we get to linguistic advance. They see the entire thing that he talks about. It says there was in the book, what it says in the Old Testament, there was a word, and word became existence. Remember, and became the existence.
It's actually in Gospel. John says in the beginning was the Word, and the Word with God, and the Word was God. Yes,
that's it. So why word? Why sand is so important? So they say sand is around 3 times to the power of 2. Am I right? 2 or something. The speed of sand is much slower. That's incorrect. We get into that later. So the sand is the writing, is the written book. We're talking here about the sand and ear and hearing. That would be much better. And the seeing, so which is a slow. So we got eyes, we got ears. Ears are the best part, because then you can. And the truth, we talk about that one. What that one is important. So that's the thinking, right? So. The dream thing, and then what's the access to that one? We will talk about that another session. And then this gives us a picture, right? And then why creation? So the creation. One last thing to finish this. Remember, we said we got a tiny Lego that created everything. That Lego is a bit of a spiral form. It's a tiny circle that is 3-dimensional. It's not quite circle, right?
Yeah,
it's like a spring. The 2 points, beginning and end, don't meet each other. And by now you should have realized already that beginning and end don't exist at the same time, do they? We just said everything is type 1-dimensional. So by the time you start the first one, when you reach to the last one exists. The first one has disappeared. Go back to the very, very first session when we talked. We said the way this boy is creating our world is he is holding a spotlight in his hand, moving it with 10 to the power of whatever we calculated, 88 or some 45 meter per second, much, much faster than any speed you can imagine. So with the movement of a spotlight, he's creating 3-dimensional things that they experience. And that's what the spotlight is, the time. The boy that they move it in different directions is the gravity.
Yes.
But that's where everything is. Maximum, if you want to say accept, it would be 2-dimensional, flat. Everything at the end, if you have very smart mind, you can slow down everything so much, you will find that everything is actually one dot.
Of course, it collapses to one dot. Yes, that's right.
Yes, it's one dot. To slow down his boy's movements, you get lines. Slow it down, you see, oh, he's just holding a spotlight in his hand. So it's only one. So that's what we say. Time is just one. And then what is the gravity is the boy. So you take the torch from him or take the torch off, the time band world stops, but the boy is still there. That's the difference between the machine and the Messiah. Machine is M-Sh-N, 435. Messiah is M-A-S-H-I-A. SH 435. That's the big secret. That's why they turned Meshicha, which is 435, into the similar thing that exactly by Gematria, by the numbering of the words, matches exactly the word Messiah is the word machine, because Messiah has got H at the end. Machine has got N at the end. And everyone here in Abjad, Arabic and Farsi almost know that N and H are the same. They both have the value of 5. H is the name of God. H, it's not a pronounceable letter. H is there to give a value to it. We get to linguistic ones. The one that you pronounce is N. So you can basically change any H to N. So change Messiah to N, and Shev and Se are the same thing. They have the value of 3. And then what's the difference? We get into that one day. So we know that you can change Kurosh to Cyrus. Yeah, you can hold any linguistic man would know that basics. So you can change Messiah or Messiah to Meshen. You only need take H add and put N. That will work. What does that mean? That will work. That wouldn't upset the universe because you didn't change the number. You know why? Because remember we said at the level of existence, the writer, the man decided to write it down. Remember that? Yeah. He wrote it down. He wrote it down in numbers. He created the code for it. What do you do with your computer game? You put the code. Yeah. You put 111 1 111 000. That's good. He put it down. He put 1 2 1 1 3 2 4 5, which we talked before. How the numbers are created. Remember we talked about that.
Yeah. Fibonacci. Yeah.
And then man was there and said, "Oh, this is the word, and how do I find out what is what? Where do I do?" He says, "This is the catalog." He gave it to the man. The man looked at it. What did he see? Numbers. And he said, "Oh, this is the book of numbers. This is the millions of numbers in this booklet." He said, what did he say? So that's the computer game. You are in it. But remember, don't again say the word is a computer game. There's the time band part of it. Is the computer game. We are much more than that. Remember, we are the gravity part, the consciousness.
So we are not in a computer game. Let's just make sure that it's clear.
Very, very different. Computer game is our game, is our product. This product of universe has the consciousness in it. That's the entire talk about origami from the beginning. We said we got the time band layer of skin on the outside that we perceive as reality. That's the time. And we said all we call matter and locality, all of that is just one thing, is the time. You manipulate time into the concept of gravity, the concept of locality and mass, liquid, gas, everything. That's all time. That's all we're saying. It's very simple. Like you create a computer game. In a computer game, you see man, you see water, you see love even, you see town, cars, you see a lot of things. You see locality, you see movement, you see a speed, correct? But you know, all of that created by pulses of electricity.
Zeros and ones.
Yeah, this is electricity is the time that creates all of those effects for you. But at the core of that is the boy that holding the torch. So, and part of his decision making is in any movement of that. So all this we perceiving is actually one dot. But what matters is that consciousness behind it. So you come to the game and say, "What is this?" And the boy says, "This is the program by which I'm moving the torch in my hand."
I see.
Correct. That's what we call program, isn't it? So how are you doing moving your hand, boy? You know, you're creating a beautiful picture of earth and water and oceans and things very fast. But what's the design? What's the pattern you're moving it? That's very important. The pattern. It creates such a beautiful picture. He said, this is the book of the pattern. And you look at it, it's all numbers. 1, 3, 5, 0, so, and then we get into that how many numbers? There are just 7 numbers. And then you say, like Fibonacci, remember we have one number, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes, it comes to actually one number, but to make it fundamental would be 7. And then from that you can have 22, which is the Hebrew letters. But then he says, okay, to understand it, instead of number 1, put Aleph, which is alpha.
First letter of Hebrew.
For 2, put Bet, B, Bet, right? For 3, put
Gamma.
J, Gamel, whatever. Right. D is 4. And I said, well, that way you can create a story.
Yeah.
So the man put there, the first put 1, 2, 5, whatever numbers, and then said, well, now I've got a book of letters. So that's the second stage, the existence we're talking about. The existence becomes a book of creation. That's Enuma Elish. In Sumer, they found it book of creation. Book of creation is conversion of these letters to the next step, to the letters, that which the letters are. And they have to go into linguistics. That's very, very amazing story that these letters, why 1 is Aleph. Aleph has got a shape, remember. It's got a sound, and sound is everything. We said existence is sound, so it has effect, move things around to the end of the universe. It's got a meaning. Yeah, Aleph has got meaning, B has got different meaning, G, you can feel it. When you say She, you get different feeling, you say She, you get different feeling. So every letter is exactly like a number. 2 has a value. So A, B, C, they have different value, they have different shape, they have different sound and effect, and different meaning. So these are very, very, very important. Then after the 7 letters, you combine the others to create other letters. For example, M, which is 40. You got like R, 22 R's together become 40, becomes M. Why M is a square shape? What's the difference here? And then what's the effect of them? That's what learning language was in ancient times. All of us are illiterate. We are horribly illiterate because we don't know zero about language today. Even the Gematria in Kabbalists do today is nothing. They just add the numbers together. For example, they say, okay, John, J-O-N, for example, okay? That's 3 and 1 and 5, that's 9. 9. All they do, they add the numbers together like a child. They cannot dissect these. They interact with each other. You put 3 numbers here together. So you are, listen to this very carefully. This means you're putting 3 elements of 118 fundamental elements of universe together. That's what he's talking about in his book when the child gives the book to you. So these numbers means you can put 3 entities, a plant with another plant, another plant. You 3 elements. Hydrogen, oxygen, you can put 3 countries, 3 form of people together, all of that. So that's the mystery of universe. That's why the Torah was letters, not even words. And he said, what do I do with letters? Remember what you have? You have letters. You don't have words, you don't have sentences, you don't have paragraphs. So, okay, you got paragraph. We get into that more in details. But he said, you can make it into words, whichever way you want. Then he said, oh, by the way, all other things these numbers are the notes of music.
Exactly. That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
Notes of music, 7 colors, red, blue, 7 crystals. That's why 7 chakras. That's why 7 is always there. And we said why 7 is the 7 is the first number, natural number, that when you times it by pi number, you get the exact number. So if you do 1 times pi number, you get 3.1415. If you do 2, the same 3. Once you reach 7 times 3.14, you get 21.99, which is equal to 22. The first time pi number creates an almost perfect number for you is the when it reaches 7. That's best way to explain it, very simple. That's when it's ready now to go to the next stage. So 7 things will be more clear cut for, but remember at the end, always go back to the torch metaphor, or at the end, they're not even 7, they're only just 1, right? So B is A, like 2 is 1 and 1 together. So the letter B is 2 letter A's together. But then we remind us to have a session about mathematics, which we will see so amazingly. It's not 1 plus 1, 2 becomes 2 like that. It's more complex. So we reach that point that the book is giving the boy is this series of numbers that Babylonians get it and translate into Enuma Elish. The Hebrews get it, become the Torah. The Chinese get it, Feng Shen Yan Ai. Iran Persians get it, the book of Shahnameh, the book of Kings. And then everywhere, every nation has one, every nation, Arabic, and then we will reach to the point that which one is the best, which one is good, which one is what, which one is the truth. And he said, okay, any of this is correct. It will manifest in your people. So you change it whichever way you want, you get a different music, correct?
Yes.
If you say one is
this is a book of notes, yeah.
Exactly. So you get different, exactly. You translate it for you, you get different music. That's the Chinese music. Also, you translate different, that's a big secret here. And then you get, we'll talk about that later. You get different people, different thinking, different effects, different organ of this whole body. Bani Adam Azay Yekdigar, in the book, Persian book, it says we are all different parts of the same body. You get tissue. You get a small cells, you know, you get nerve cells, neurons, then you get retinal cells in your eye, you get cells of skin, epithelium cells in your skin, and so forth. You get all of these. Then you get these 7 major systems of the human body. And we get into that later. So that's why. So that's the book of creation. That's the letters. That's the numbers. And you choose a different words, to get a different story. It doesn't matter. All of it will manifest.
But I have a question here. So you have these notes. You give me the notes. I have no idea how these notes work. I put them together and I come up with a horrible music. Is that what we're hearing in today's world compared to ancient times, that they had a better understanding of this and they could turn it into a very soothing and beautiful music compared to what we are doing today?
Yeah, very good quiz. We have to have another 50 sessions. I don't know if that's possible. There is no, okay, let's stick to the first thing. We have one spotlight moving around. So, and then the big difference here with the machine, with what we make here, is that you are the boy moving it around. You are part of the boy. Remember, we said that creator, the God, we are part of it. So we are moving it around with him. That's why it says, yeah, translate whichever you want. That would be the world you see. Why? Because you are in the light. We are moving the light. So you can manifest it for yourself. So there is no good or bad. Yeah. So there is no good or bad. Then let's wrap it up today with this. There is a very good, very elegant arithmetical model by Kurt Gödel, good friend of Einstein, very genius, one of the biggest geniuses in mathematics. He came up showing that any even mathematical system can have errors. Why? Because a mathematical system is either complete or consistent. Complete means it's comprehensive. For example, if you give me a calculating machine, a calculator that only does calculus, like can add 2 plus 1, and it doesn't do multiply or division or anything, it's not a complete. It's not good. Complete means that. Like a house is a complete, a human body is complete, organisms are complete things. Incomplete means it's imperfect, it's not functioning very well, right? That's what incomplete means. Like an airplane is complete, you know. The car is complete. So complete means that. Consistent means it's not lying. Very simple language. So when I say,
if it lies, it always lies. That's a
error,
consistency.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So then it has no value, because you can never say is it lying now or is telling me the truth.
True.
So consistent means it's right, it's working okay. Which means the calculator I give you is a good calculator. You ask, is it complete? Does it do all the mathematical functions? I say, yeah, it does all of it. And you say, is it always correct, or it's got errors? It's not always correct. It sometimes gives you wrong answer. That's inconsistent, right?
Yeah.
He proved by arithmetics that any system we have is either incomplete or inconsistent. So if we make it complete, if we make it really, really amazing, does every mathematical thing, like a computer, it will become definitely inconsistent, will make mistakes.
Yeah.
Value zero. What's the value? You know, then statistics comes here like answers,
Exactly.
very similar to us. And the
Yeah.
statistics come as a patch to patch it up so you can sell it to people. Because intelligent mind say, I don't want this. Why? Because if you tell me even once, tell me a lie is enough to ruin me. I don't want a doctor that might lie to me one day about a drug and die. I want something to, so the statistics is a good businessman, come to sell it. So you want the truth, you know? So the boy doesn't lie. The light can lie, but the boy moving it is. So we want to get into that. That's the whole purpose of this talk. So our universe, anything we make, now pay a lot of attention to this, please. Anything that we make, because it's just digital thing, has not that core of gravity in the middle. That's incomplete or inconsistent. He's absolutely right. But the universe, because it's got the analog gravity in the background, is both complete and consistent. And this has been proved arithmetically in origami theory in a different chapter that you can send it to them. How? Very simple. Very simple. Here you need two systems then. You need one system that is complete but inconsistent. You need another system that is consistent but incomplete. That's why to create this material world, you need the time. You need the inconsistent one. So you have one system that is complete, does everything but not very precise, and then you got another part that is very precise but incomplete. We call that one past and future. These are the versions of the story we were talking about. You think about the story, you write it down, and then you tell it to people to act on it on a scene as a theater, right?
Yeah.
When you write it down, you think, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to go back and change something. This part is not very good. That's the inconsistency thing. The final product is complete, consistent. So our universe needs to be made out of two compartments that are so combined that become one. These two are always there. So one is the past, one is the future. What's the product is the present. What do you call when you give something to a loved one? Present.
Present, yeah.
What is called in the ancient Middle East, hal. That's present. Why hal is love, which means in Farsi we call it reverse it, which is bala, means high. Lev in Hebrew means heart. Lev is the Levi, the lion, the symbol is the Levi, the lion, and its love is the Baal. Love in Farsi is Baal. Baal means feather, means wing, takes you up. All of those letters saying Hal, which is love, takes you up there to look at the whole thing. You join the boy, now look down what the light game is playing up. That's the present. That's the hearing that has got access to the past, which is the visual world, and the future, which is, we will tell you what that one is. So the past and future. Present is the most precious things, but do not think that present is what we're seeing. That's the big problem, because they keep saying present is only matter. Have fun in life. We just already mentioned that present, we are living in the past. What you see is the past, didn't we? We said that we are in the physical part of the world, in the reality part.
We're catching up with existence, yes. We're always in the past.
We have access to the existence or the truth, which is the absolute consistent one. So you can see very easily that we got a consistent form, we got an incomplete form, matched together, we got a consistent, complete form of universe. And then we will see mathematically that this universe has to move, which would be rotation, because it's Fibonacci. So nothing other than rotation would exist. You rotate and go forward. So you rotate coming back to the same spot. You rotate, go forward, it becomes like a spiral. When you rotate and goes forward, physically you will never be allowed to go to the past, because if you go to the past and change, you know, in the Hollywood movies, you see someone goes to the past and change something. So in future they can win the war. Well, this is a 6-year-old intelligence. If you go to any time in the past and do any slightest thing, even just watch there something, and then you come back, you can destroy the universe, as you know. It's very simple. This is a super sophisticated machine. If you go past and just move, the boy is moving his hand, correct? In a very, very precise pattern, very smart pattern. And then suddenly you go back 10 days before and push his hand to one side because you think that will stop him creating like cars in future. And then you find out, whoa, the whole thing goes off and he has to start again. Very simple. It shows to you, you can go to the past, but it only the existent form. So you will see it. You can go to the past and see the Pharaoh and Moses, but you will not touch it. You cannot change anything. Its existence is not reality. When you go there, you don't have your time-bound dimension with you. You go there with your mind.
You're outside of the system, so you are not going to affect the system, in other words.
Exactly. Understand? In physics, how you got access to this machine doesn't have access. You got access through that part of you that is analog, the gravity one. True?
Yeah.
Because who are you? We said, who are you? You are billions of particles. Every particle has got a layer of skin of time around it that creates your body, your time, your location. Every particle has got a tiny black dot in the middle, which is the gravity, the mind of it, the decision maker. And they all connect to each other, creates one dot for you that is all your whole consciousness. So your consciousness we said is from every piece of your body has got your consciousness. Every piece of your hair, even the dead parts like hair and nail, they all have your consciousness. But because they all move with you. But the brain is the memory. Memory doesn't matter at all.
So every cell of your body independently is you, is your ego.
Your consciousness. So it's every particle attached to you. We talk about that. And then there's another thing to talk about. Then you say, so how about my shirt that I've got on? So that's why we talk about, remember the fusion distance? We said certain closure, certain distance between two particles. When that reach, you calculate that together. You find the number, is amazing. You find the number that's when particles in anything gets that close, they fuse their things, they fuse their center together, fuse their gravity together, become one particle. So at the end, Earth has got one black hole at the center of it, which is 7.48 millimeter, very tiny thing. We won't even see it, but all the gravity comes from there, not from the mass. And so that's the consciousness of Earth. And all the particles, including me and you, our consciousness is connected to that. That's connected to the other particles, all connected to the entire universe. Very simple. Through that, you can go back. That's why you go through your mind, through back that part, which is continuous, so it doesn't cut off. You go back and see past, future, everything. But remember, when you go and see the past, you see the existence, which is like a movie. You basically don't have visual, you hear things. You will have acoustics, because we said sound, visual is the slowest one. We get into sound and other feelings, and we realize why. These are the big secrets. We talk about that later. It's too complex. Remember, just for now, remember, seeing things is related to the reality, which is very, very slow. It's the slowest car that goes the speed of light. So we said we've got three cars. The one going in front of us is the existence, which is our story, which is our written, right? We said that's the word, and that's one that's written. That's the sound. So if we got access to the future, what happened? We probably hear sounds of explosions. Whoa, Earth is gonna explode, and the brain can picture into that the picture for us. But the reality
constructs
on the sound, yes. And then after that, further up, we can access that. We access that in any time we are asleep, actually. That one is the truth, which is the thinking, the dreaming of the boy, of us, all of us. That one is the story. In that one, you don't have sound even. You feel it, which we say, which feeling is that? We feel that, you feel, whoa, this is the story. What you will feel is it a good story? It's got a good ending, happy ending, or bad, sad ending? You will hear that it's amazingly happy ending. It cannot be a sad ending. Why not? Because we don't like it. We are the boy,
That's
We
it.
don't like
Yeah.
bad ending. That's it. Is the happy ending, and we will create the happy ending. Why? Because negative forces, man. There is no negative. We run out of time. Next session, please just write down. Just now we got to this stage. Now we have to say, remember we said we need two parts, two forces to create incomplete, inconsistent to complete each other.
Systems.
The inconsistent one that is lies
Is evil.
sometimes, that's the one we call bad. And so why we needed to create the perfect picture? That's why we needed. You need two forces for your car to go forward. Look
A
at
bird needs two wings
cylinder.
to fly. Yes.
Exactly. The cylinder goes up, goes down. One heart the same. You pump and then you suck. If you can't just pump constantly. So you need two forces, yin and yang. Any child will understand that. You need two forces. One goes forward, one push back, forward, back, forward. So heart, the whole universe is pulsating like a heart. The first part in a baby, in any embryo that develops, is the heart, and it starts pumping. That's amazing. That's universe. Universe exactly like Big Bang, exactly like that. One particle, 2, 4, 8, expanded, and then you find out what we call antimatter is. That's when the opposite Y is a stag form. This one is a spiral form, and then antimatter will be pushed away to the surrounding, the periphery of this big egg. So the one question in modern physics is where is all the antimatter? Asymmetry problem. Because a paradox in Big Bang model says asymmetry. So they say we got the same amount of matter as the amount of antimatter. So how come they didn't destroy each other? There must be a bit of matter more than antimatter, but they cannot mathematically explain that. This explains it. Yeah. Because antimatter repels each other, because gravity is not always pulling. So antimatters repel each other, end up pushing to this periphery of the universe. The matters are spiral. They go towards each other, they gather, they coagulate, and create this one that we see. So it tells you exactly where antimatter is and why is there, why it is antimatter, why it does that. So imagine when you are the boy, when you move your hand around with the light, you got the torch in your hand and moving. When you go to the right is matter, when you go to left is antimatter. That's our perception. That's all it is. So any matter you got antimatter for it. So it's an amazing picture. So that's why you got two forces. The one that we call evil, the one inconsistent one, remember we already mentioned, is the past one. Any time that we go forward, compared to the one in the past, we are more consistent.
Yeah.
In simple language means anyone that does bad, any evil, we call evil. There is no Satan, there is no such a thing at all. We get into that later. There's only one God. That's what everyone tried to say, but still we hear all these spiritual leaders just keep talking about Satan or devil. There is no such a thing, because there's one boy creating the world. He's not fighting anyone. He does need two forces. We need a negative, if you like, and a positive. And remember, positive, the good one, is ahead of the bad one. The inconsistent ones are behind, which means, in simple language, inconsistent, bad ones, the ones who lie, murder, rape, whatever, bad things, they are just ignorant. So we don't have greed and lust and meanness or brutality or all of those 50 different features to define that. Again, the same as origami. One thing, inconsistent, just being ignorant. Who is a liar? Who is a person that's greedy? No. Ignorant. If you got ignorance, you won't be in the fight. You get a good picture of universe, then you will not worry about anything. You won't be greedy. You won't rape a person. That's all of the inconsistencies, all of things that we create as an entity. We call it evil or bad things. Sometimes we find that we were evil. Do you see? Sometimes we think someone is wrong, and then we realize we were wrong. So what is this wrong that we always need? What is this yin and yang? We definitely need that to complete. Where are the positions? Always the inconsistent is behind in time-wise, like the correct time, they are behind. Which means as we go forward, we go toward more consistency, and at the total of it together becomes the present time, which is complete and persistent. So in the present, that is complete and persistent, we always have tiny bits of inconsistent and a tiny piece of incomplete. And so that's why the creation is asymmetric. Chirality, let's say that and finish it. Chirality is creation. We just said perfect square, perfect sphere doesn't exist, didn't we? We just said that it's not the perfect circle. It has to go forward, so it becomes a spiral. That's the big key. Machine is symmetrical. Machine does 2 + 2 is 4. Machine does, look at the bricks in the modern architecture, very, very wrong. We make buildings very symmetrical. Everything is a brick form. That destroys everything. You need odd numbers, not even numbers. You need Fibonacci. The creation is chirality. If you look at the shells in the sea, if you look at the horns of things, look at the trees, nothing in universe is symmetrical, because it will put the first point and the last point, the circle, on each other and destroy each other. That's why when you go to buy something and handcraft, you always look for a handmade ones. Why you want the handmade ones? How you recognize this is handmade or machine made? Even the most sophisticated Persian carpet, you bring an expert and he will look and he says, this is the handmade. Or he says, no, 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 this is amazing, but it's machine made. Simply by finding errors in it. You find errors in a product and you realize it's handmade. And that's when you give it the highest price, only because, not because it does better job, just because you connect with it, because it's got love in it. This, what we perceive as error, what we perceive as evil, forces of evil, is the same as the inconsistency, as the error in the handmade things that we love and worship. That's why love hurts. That's why love is like a fire. It hurts you, but that's why love is so necessary, because this, when you look at a craft, a handmade, ceramic thing that is made by some villager in Peru, you look at it and it's handmade because it's asymmetric, it's irregular, all the patterns are not the same, but you connect to it. You imagine a woman sitting there making it by her hands. That has the analog part that connects us. But when it's digital, a cup that made by Chinese factory, you look at it, it's symmetrical, this is a machine. I have no connection to it.
You resent it.
My material body, time band one, will use it. But my analog side inside has no connection. That's why it's so funny, even the purely material world today, we give the most price, most value to the handmade, because we worship errors, because we know deep down that love is error, creation is a mistake of the creator, and without the mistake we wouldn't exist. Which we are the most elegant mistake that completes the creation.
We have to get that to another episode. So we learned about truth, existence, and reality and their relation, and we also learned that in reality the fastest speed is the speed of light, and everything is predestined, in fact.
In a material world, yes.
In a material world, in our reality. Well, thank you so much. Again, this was a lot of information. The most interesting part of it is you can always connect it to the mathematics and physics of it. That's very interesting. And I appreciate the fact that you spend this time, you go over all these things, and I understand if you jump from one thing to another, it's the nature of this kind of conversations, and you go down the rabbit hole, and there are thousands of, I know you hate possibilities, thousands of different branches to jump
exactly. On. Because they're all connected and amazing. Yeah. But you keep remembering the boy in the torch.
Exactly.
Don't worry too much about anything. Thank you so much for all your time.
Thank you. And the good thing is, you gave us a good news. The ending is happy ending. It's a happy ending one.
The worst scenario, you can turn off the torch, but the boys are still there. We can just all laugh at it and say it was a nice picture. You can change and even finish the torch part, the light part, which is the reality, but the truth and existence will be always there. Yeah. We are part of the creator.
Yeah.
But please do me a favor, make a list of questions that come to your mind or people ask you.
Yes, I have a list of questions for you for next time.
Yeah, we want to make sure we all understand things and we don't minimize the mistakes, you know.
Definitely.
Thank you so much. All the best.
Thank you, and thank you all for listening.
Bye.
Bye-bye.